There are so many new beauty releases happening all the time, so we gathered some of the most hyped products to test for ourselves. e.l.f. has been killing it with its new releases lately, and we need to talk about this new Power Grip Primer because it's excellent. Immediately, I compared it to my Milk Hydro Grip Primer. They are virtually identical in terms of texture and how they apply, except this e.l.f. one is obviously cheaper. Just like the Hydro Grip Primer, it creates a really nice tacky base for foundation that's meant to make your makeup last longer. My foundation blended out really nicely on top of this. It wasn't pilling or doing anything out of the ordinary. I took some pictures about 5 to 6 hours after I applied, and I do think my makeup lasted really well, even my blush, which is literally always the first thing to disappear on my face. e.l.f. also released this powder foundation in its camo line. I'll be honest, powder foundations are just not my thing. I don't like how they look on my skin, but the camo line has had nothing but hits, so I had to try this. The powder is so soft and it blends out very easily. It definitely evened out my skin tone and blurred some of those areas I have of discoloration. However, it just looks powdery. I don't think it gives my skin the most flattering texture. I forgot to set it with some spray to see if that helps at all, but I don't see myself liking this even with setting spray to melt it in a bit. This is not for me. I love trying new mascaras. This is the Makeup Revolution 5D Lash Pow Mascara. It's supposed to make it look like you're wearing falsies. The size of this brush is astronomical. Oh my god, but I love a big natural bristle mascara brush. Right away, I could tell that this mascara was doing a really nice job of thickening my lashes, and the more I built it up, it gave my lashes this nice little curl. I naturally have straight lashes and I hate curling them, so I was really happy with the effect this mascara gave them. Also, I love how you push the cap down to open it. It's really satisfying to me. The Fenty Beauty Kilowatt Freestyle Highlighter is definitely not new, but Madison Beer said she uses this one in Ginger Binge / Moscow Mule as a blush, and everyone bought it, including me. Fenty highlighters are more glittery than sheeny, so I was a little nervous about how this was gonna look on me and the texture on my cheeks. It was definitely more metallic looking because it's a highlighter and not a blush, but I actually did not hate this at all. I did have to go over it with my sponge to take away some of that glitter, but the color and the glow it brought to my cheeks was super pretty. I don't think you need this specific product for this kind of effect, but if you're gonna try it, I recommend sticking to the side with less glitter. Charlotte Tilbury just dropped this beautiful skin foundation. The claims on the box were so funny to me. Like, skin tone looks more even by up to 210%. Sure. This foundation had a way thicker consistency than I expected, and I think because of that, it didn't really melt into my skin the way I wanted it to. The coverage leaned more on the lighter side, so I went back into certain areas and added some more. It's definitely buildable, but I'm not obsessed with how my skin is looking. I don't think it looks cakey, it just looks like I'm wearing foundation, and it's not as skin-like as the name would have you think. Do I think my skin tone looks more even by up to 210%? I can't really say, but this is just okay to me. I saw a TikTok that said this Sigma Renew lip oil is a possible dupe for the $35 Dior lip oil, so I had to compare the two because I'm obsessed with the Dior lip oil. It feels so nourishing on the lips, and it has that big doe foot applicator that feels so cushiony. I could literally apply this all day. The Sigma lip oil looks so much like it. Look at these applicators. They're almost identical. The Sigma one is hydrating and shiny, and it gives you that moisturizing, non-sticky feeling. It feels so much like the Dior one. The only discernible difference I found between the two is that the Sigma one has no scent and the Dior one does. It's $22, which is still really pricey for a lip oil, and it only comes in 4 shades, but I think this is a really good dupe. Highly recommend. You guys have been asking me to try out some rare beauty on this show, so I picked up the new Warm Wishes Effortless Bronzer Stick and the Always an Optimist Soft Radiance Setting Powder. Let's talk about the bronzer stick first. I immediately got nervous swatching it on the back of my hand because it looked so red, but I was so shocked when I saw how easily it blended in. I don't know why I applied this like it was a contour stick, but it worked out for me. The texture of this is something special. It's super smooth and soft and velvety, and it doesn't blend into nothing. You still see that color, you still get the warmth of a bronzer. It looked way less red when I applied it to my face, so I was actually really happy with this. Now the setting powder. I'll admit right now, I made a mistake getting the medium shade. I should have gone for light medium, but I expected this to be way more sheer than it actually was. I normally use a translucent powder, so using a setting powder with color was new for me. Applying it with my sponge was an immediate no. It made my skin look so patchy and weird. My powder brush was definitely the way to go. The powder was super finely milled and it gives your skin that soft blur that looks really pretty. It made my skin look a lot smoother on the side where I used my brush. It's still a little patchy in terms of color, but that's obviously my fault because this is not my color. I definitely need to try this again in my appropriate shade. And finally, let's talk about the new NYX Thick It Stick It Brow Gel. It's described as a thickening brow mascara. If you look really closely, you can see those little fibers that are supposed to make your brows look fuller and fluffier. I actually bought this for myself and used it once and thought it was just okay, but I had no idea you were supposed to layer it, so I did that this time around and my brows came out so much better. I'm obsessed with how this right brow looks. The left one, not so much, but that's always my problem brow. I kind of wish this had a smaller brush because I kept accidentally spreading the product outside of my brows, but I do like the natural full effect that you get with this. I haven't tried a hard candy product since I was a kid, but this glitter palette blew up on TikTok. This is the Glitterazzi Glitter Eye Palette in Glitz and Cheer. The glitter is not loose. It does have some sort of sticky base that holds it together and makes it really easy to glide on. I was honestly blown away by how pigmented these glitters are. I used my fingers to apply it to my eyes. These top two shades do that thing where depending on what angle your face is at, the glitter disappears and reappears. It's so magical and pretty. I will say that I did get glitter fallout, so I'd recommend using another glitter base to make sure that doesn't happen, but I had fun playing around with this palette. If you're someone who's into glitter, I highly recommend it. Fenty Beauty just came out with the Icon Semi-Matte Refillable Lipstick, so the case and the actual lipstick are sold separately and then you assemble them together. I'm not gonna lie, it took me a minute to figure out, but I did eventually. I got the shade the MVP, which is another universal red from Fenty that's supposed to look good on every skin tone. The shape of the lipstick was actually inspired by Rihanna's iconic Cupid's bow, and I actually found it really easy to sort of map out my lip line with it since I didn't apply any lip liner before. The pigment is incredible and totally full coverage. It's just a very creamy formula that feels so smooth and hydrating on the lips. I can't even believe this is semi-matte. It's definitely not transfer proof, but I was actually really impressed by how it looked after I kissed my hand. Clearly so much product came off, but the lipstick still looked incredible. It is interesting to see regular lipstick releases in the age of mask wearing, but this formula is excellent. NARS has a new foundation formula, the Light Reflecting Advanced Skincare Foundation. NARS knows how to do complexion products so well, and it has a huge hit with this. I've actually been using this for weeks now, and I'm completely in love with it. The foundation is so lightweight on the skin, it feels like you're not even wearing foundation. The coverage is on the light to medium side, but I definitely think you can build it up without it getting cakey. The finish is so nice, it makes your skin look really fresh and dewy without looking oily, and all of my other products layer on top of this foundation really well. KVD Beauty released its Good Apple Lightweight Full Coverage Concealer. The name had me so intrigued because usually full coverage products can get heavy on the skin and my under eyes are so picky about what concealer they like. I immediately love this applicator shape. It picks up a good amount of product and the shape makes it easy to apply. I could tell from testing it out on the back of my hand that it actually does feel way more lightweight than I expected, but it covers really well. I applied it everywhere I normally apply concealer, let it all sit for a second, and then started blending. This concealer blends like a dream. It just melts into the skin without losing any coverage. I did add a little more on my under eye area just for some extra brightening and it layered beautifully, no problems there. And then I set it all with a powder and I think it still looked really good while feeling super light on the face. The name did not lie. ColourPop released these adorable heart-shaped pressed powder blushes just in time for Valentine's Day. They kept selling out, but I managed to get this bright coral shade called Forever Yours. These blushes look deceptively matte in the pan, but if you look at my finger swatch, it's definitely got a pretty sheen, which I love. This blush was so unbelievably pigmented. I tapped my brush off before I applied it, and it still went on this intensely, but I went back in with a clean brush to tone it down, and it looked so much better. This blush formula is really silky and pretty, plus a little goes a really long way, so I love this. Also, I am a sucker for anything heart-shaped. Carla Cosmetics is a totally new brand for me, and I've been dying to try its Shadow Potion Gel Eyeshadow. It's this multi-chrome gel eyeshadow. I swatched it on my hand first, and this texture isn't something I've really tried before. I just went in with my fingers and did gentle tapping motions. It does dry quickly, but not so quickly that you don't have time to work with it. It definitely showed up as more pinky purple on my eyes with olive green on the outer corners. That multi-chrome shift depends on the lighting, so I think it looked more obvious away from direct sunlight. Milk Makeup recently released this Rise mascara. I actually love their Kush mascara, so I was really excited to try this. And then I actually tried it. This is just so average. It took me 3 layers for it to give my lashes any sort of lift, and even that effect was subtle. I've tried drugstore mascaras that have done a lot more for a lot less. This is the mini size and it was 14 bucks. I will say I did love the packaging. This material kind of feels like a pencil grip and I love that. The actual mascara, not so much. This is the Kimchi Chic Beauty Teddy Kim palette in the Boyfriend color story. It's an eyeshadow and face palette. I went in with the blush and highlighter first and I loved them. They were really buildable and went on so smoothly. Moving on to the eyeshadow, you do get a nice mix of mattes, shimmers, and glitters. I think all of these colors work together really well. I went in with a couple of mattes first and they blended great. Then I played around with these shimmers and glitters. Again, these applied great. They're super shiny and reflective, but I did get fallout with the glitter, so I recommend using a primer. Overall, I was very happy with this palette, and another fun thing about it is that it actually comes with stickers so you can customize your little bear. My bear definitely goes to Euphoria High, but yes, I love this. I can see this being really good for travel, although maybe a little bit hard to pack. The Rose Inc Skin Enhanced Luminous Tinted Serum is one of the weirdest products I've seen in a while. It's basically a skin tint with this serum-y base that's filled with pigment beads that give you some coverage. They say to apply this with a brush to break up and spread those pigment beads, so that's what I did. I really went into this thinking it was just gonna look like an oily mess on me, but then I noticed how good it was making my skin look. The coverage is light, but it's just enough that it gives this my skin naturally looks like this with no effort kind of look. I typically hide any imperfections on my face with a more full coverage foundation, but this made my skin look so smooth and dewy that I didn't feel like I needed more. But this product really shocked me, not only in how good it looked, but also in how good it made me feel. This is the e.l.f. Cookies and Dreams lip gloss in Cookie Dreams, and yes, it is a black lip gloss with a bunch of pretty blue and silver glitter throughout. I tried this out on my bare lips first, and I didn't love it because you can see in the areas where the gloss tends to pool a bit more, it has this very obvious bluish black tint that looked a little odd on me. But then I applied this over my favorite lip liner and I immediately understood why people liked this so much. Oh my god, it looked incredible over lip liner. It kind of gave the liner a deeper look that just worked so well. And the formula of the gloss itself is actually really nice for the $4 price point. I'm definitely hanging on to this to layer over other lip products. I was so excited to try this Huda Beauty Easy Bake Loose Baking and Setting Powder in Cherry Blossom. I had to get this baby version because the full size was completely sold out. It's a baby pink setting powder that's supposed to really brighten up the under eyes. I just applied my concealer like normal and went in with the little puff that comes with it. This puff is nice, but the shape was really annoying to use, so I did use a brush to get into the hard to reach spots. This powder does have a very strong floral scent that was actually giving me a headache, so I had to remove it after a few minutes. It recommends that you leave it on for 5, but I couldn't take it anymore. I'm sorry. I did see a slight brightening effect, but it wasn't blowing me away. I could still see my dark circles peeking through a bit. I do, however, think that this is a nice powder formula. It's really smoothing and super finely milled, but they need to get rid of the scent. Maybelline just dropped its Super Stay Vinyl Ink Long Wear No Budge Liquid Lip Color. This is a long wearing lipstick that's meant to stay shiny, which really got my attention. You have to shake it for 5 seconds, then apply. When I first started applying, I got nervous because it looked really patchy, but I got full coverage when I added another layer, and it surprisingly felt lightweight on the lips. I kissed my hand to check for transfer, and there definitely was some. I did a test wearing my mask and saw some transfer there too. And then I took a sip of my drink and saw minimal transfer there as well. Even though I was getting a little transfer and most of the shine was gone, the lipstick itself still looked super bright and it didn't move anywhere, so I was happy with that. This is the Dior Backstage Flash Perfector Concealer. I think the main thing that's special about this is that it has a brush applicator instead of a doe foot applicator, so that's supposed to be easier to blend in. I still had to use my sponge for blending, but I did like how easy application was with the brush, although I wouldn't say it was any easier than a regular doe foot applicator. The formula itself is really nice. The coverage is more on the medium side, but it covered enough. I like this concealer, but I wouldn't tell you to go run and get it. It's just a nice concealer with a high-end name on it. The Beauty Blender Power Pocket Puff is basically a double-sided velour puff, so the pink side is for powder application and the tan side is for blending the powder and makeup. It does pick up a lot of product. I tried to tap off as much as I could, but it still deposited a lot of powder. It is described as a tool you can use for baking the under eye area, so maybe that's why. The shape does make it easy to use, and I liked how it has this little strap on it that can be used on either side. After leaving the powder on for a bit, I used the tan side to blend it in, and it wasn't getting rid of all the powder, so I did use a brush to dust off the excess. I noticed that my under eye area looked really smooth, smoother than when I set the area with my normal sponge. The lines under my eyes weren't as defined. This is the new MAC Max Stack Mascara, and it's supposed to be super volumizing, which I love. What I don't love is a plastic mascara brush, which this has, but I was still excited to try this. When I first started applying, I immediately hated the feeling of the brush on my eye. It's a little too spiky for someone like me with pretty sensitive eyes. I noticed an instant lift and volume with my lashes, which are naturally pretty straight. I did another coat and loved how this made my lashes look. They look long and full without looking clumpy. I don't know if I can justify $28 for mascara, but this one is so good. I might have to splurge on it every now and then. We have two new face products from One Size Beauty, the Cheek Clapper 3D Blush Trio palette and the Made for Shade Bronze and Sculpt Trio. Let's get into the Sculpt palette first. I used a mix of the bottom two shades and they brought some much needed warmth to my face. They blend really nicely and smoothly. These are nice bronzers, but I think the real star of the show here is the blush palette. Like if I had to pick one of these two palettes to splurge on, it would definitely be this one. These are three different formulas, a Flex Cream, a Full Impact Matte, and a Hyper Sheen. I went in with a very light hand because these are really pigmented and they just look really beautiful and smooth on the skin. The color can be built up or toned down as much as you want, which I think is my favorite thing about this palette. There are just so many different ways you can use it and all the formulas work so nicely together. Rare Beauty just released the Positive Light Tinted Moisturizer with SPF 20. I was so happy that this had SPF in it. The formula felt thicker and looked more full coverage than I expected. Also, this was a shade or two too light for me, so ignore that. It does sheer out as you apply it, so it looks less like a foundation and more like a tinted moisturizer. I applied the rest of my powder makeup on top and honestly wasn't loving how it looked. I felt like it kept building up in the dry patches around my nose and just looked a little too textured. But then I redid my makeup with all cream products on top of this tinted moisturizer and it looked so much better, just super dewy and fresh, so I much prefer using it with cream products. This is the NYX Wonder Stick Cream Blush Contour, and it's literally a blush stick that you use to contour your face. There's a lighter shade that's meant to be used as a blush and a deeper shade that you contour with. I have never contoured with blush, so I was really intrigued by this. I applied the darker shade wherever I would normally contour and the lighter shade above it and then blended it out. This isn't the easiest formula to blend, but I eventually got it looking pretty good. I didn't hate the blush contour look. I just think this blush formula isn't great and I've definitely tried better at the drugstore. I haven't experimented much with correctors, but I saw a TikTok recommending this one, the Benefit Boing Bright On Brightening Under Eye Concealer. It has this peachy color to counteract the darkness underneath the eyes. I tested it out before applying makeup and I could see a difference already, so then I applied a small amount, blended that, then applied concealer on top, and I think it did make a difference. My under eyes looked brighter than usual. I definitely noticed less darkness than when I just used concealer, and the product didn't do anything weird to the concealer I applied on top. It didn't make it patchy or bunch up, so I'm actually really into this. I realized later you're just supposed to wear this on its own, which I clearly did not do, but I was still happy with the results. Charlotte Tilbury came out with a new Pillow Talk collection inspired by its popular lipstick in Pillow Talk, so I picked up a few of the products. I already love the Beauty Light wand, so I knew that I would love this Pillow Talk shade. It's super glowy and makes the skin look so beautiful. The Multi-Glow Highlighter was a new product for me. The packaging is so pretty. I didn't even want to touch it, but I did. It has this almost soft blurring effect that looks really nice, and it's not glittery at all, just like a soft glow. The product I was most excited to try was actually the mascara in the shade Dream Pop. It's described as a berry brown shade. I don't think I've ever tried a colored mascara before, but I applied it like I normally would, and I actually love the color. The formula isn't my favorite, and neither is the brush, but I think the color was actually flattering on my eyes. It's supposed to bring out the amber in brown eyes. I don't know if that's what's happening, but it did make my eyes look really sparkly, which I love. I saw that Flower Beauty had this Spotlight Liquid Highlighter that looked a lot like the Charlotte Tilbury Light Wand in the Pillow Talk shade, so I really wanted to compare the two to see if it was a dupe. The shades aren't exactly the same, but they're super close. Both are so easy to blend out and look more natural and dewy on the skin than a powder highlight does. I think the Charlotte Tilbury one is a bit more reflective than the Flower Beauty one, but the effect is definitely similar. The Flower Beauty one looks just as beautiful on the skin, and it's almost $30 cheaper, so I highly recommend this if you haven't gotten a chance to try the light wands. I'm an East Coast girl, so I was so excited when I saw that e.l.f. collabed with Dunkin'. This was such a fun, cute idea. This huge donut sponge was so ridiculous, I had to try it out. It's big even before wetting, and it was pretty hard at first, but it doubled in size once I wet it and it became a lot softer and squishier. I'm not gonna lie, applying foundation with this is kind of great because it's so big, it literally applies foundation in 5 seconds. I decided to use it to apply all my other makeup, and the size does get more difficult to work with the more precise you're trying to be. You can see that I was accidentally spreading my blush up way too high, but I think overall the makeup came out looking good. Obviously, this is more like a novelty than a super useful makeup tool, but it comes in handy if you want to apply makeup quickly. I also ordered the Glazed for Days lip gloss set because I cannot resist an orange gloss, let alone an orange gloss that smells like glazed donuts. This is a really nice gloss. The color is pretty sheer, but for the price point, I think this formula is super glossy and comfortable on the lips. Donnie Davy, the head makeup artist of Euphoria, just came out with her own makeup line, Half Magic, and I bought a bunch of products to test out. First up, we have these Chrome Addiction matte eye paints. They have a lot of pigment and were really easy to layer and blend. They don't dry down too fast and you can use them as eyeliner, which is what I did. They have this reusable wing guide, which was okay. I feel like it was a little too flimsy, so I didn't get that great of a wing with this. This glitter pill was so pretty and the applicator made it so easy to use. Plus you don't have to use a glitter base, it just dries down and stays put. The Light Trap Glow powders definitely do give you a nice glow, and you can use them anywhere on the face. Like I put this purple one on my eyes and it looked so cool. Of course, I also had to get these iridescent face gems, which are self-adhering, so you don't need any glue for the first use. You will need glue if you reuse them. These are so easy to apply and add such a cute sparkle. The last product I got was the Magic Brownie Lip Trick Kit. It has a darker and lighter lip liner so you can customize the lipstick. The lip liner is very smooth and creamy, and this lipstick is super comfortable on the lips. This brand as a whole really inspires you to play with your makeup, which I love, and I really liked the products that I tried. I'm excited to see what they come out with next. Danessa Myricks Beauty just released this Skin Blurring Balm Powder. I got the Universal shade, which is translucent, and I also got the shade 4. So you can use this as a primer, concealer and contour, a foundation, or it can be used to set your foundation. I first tried the Universal one as a primer under my go-to foundation. The texture is kind of strange. It blends in easily like a balm would, but it dries down to like a soft matte powder finish. It really does blur a lot of imperfections. My foundation went over this so smoothly, and it did make it slightly more matte than it usually looks, but I didn't mind. Then I tried the tinted shade just as a foundation. It did take me a while to blend out, but once I did, I really liked the finish. This is actually more full coverage than I was expecting. I feel like it covered a lot. I did end up wearing this for the entire day, and I noticed that I was much less oily at the end of the day than usual. It does have a bit of a learning curve, but once you figure out how to make this work for your skin, it's a really cool product. I don't know why it's taken me this long to try the About Face Matte Fluid Eye Paints, but I'm finally doing it. These are liquid eye colors that come in full coverage mattes or sheer shades. Don't be scared by that orange swatch, that one is a sheer shade. The pigment in these is incredible. They're super easy to apply and to blend out. You can build up the color if you want and it still feels lightweight. Plus, I'm in love with this packaging. These are amazing and I need more colors. The Espresso Glassy Blush is one of those pH reactive products. It goes from clear to a pink tint on the skin. I first tried it over my foundation and it started to break down the product I already had on. It was pilling so much, so we were off to a bad start. I tried it out on my bare skin and it worked a lot better. It's cute and a fun idea, but I'm not blown away by this. I would rather just get a blush that works on skin and over makeup. This is the Bdellium Large Rounded Double Dome Blender, and it looks like a little mouth. It's basically like 2 brushes in one. It's supposed to blend in product really fast and give you an airbrushed finish. You can use it with any liquid, cream, or powder products, so I decided I would do a full face with just this brush. I was immediately blown away by how quickly and seamlessly this blended in the product. Plus, this was like the softest brush I've ever felt. You're supposed to do these back and forth motions, and I thought it would look so streaky, but it just looked really smooth and well blended. Because of the size, it is a little difficult to use for the more precise products like concealer, but they do sell smaller sizes of this brush. I loved it. This is the Say Hydra Beam Brightening and Hydrating Under Eye Concealer. It has a radiant finish, which had me a little worried. I don't really think radiant when I'm picking out a concealer. The coverage is light, a little too light for my taste. I'm a medium to full coverage girl when it comes to concealer, but the finish is pretty and skin-like. It also looked good when I set it with powder. But I absolutely hate the applicator on this. In my opinion, it's too short, it is so stiff, and it doesn't do a great job of picking up and spreading the product around. Other than that, this is a very nice everyday concealer. These are the Tarte Maracuja Juicy Lip Plumps, and they're supposed to give you a tingle-free plumping. They actually are so juicy. Look at how shiny that is. My first reaction to these was that they are incredibly fragile. Like, you want to be careful with how much pressure you're using because it will break, so I didn't love that. But these feel so good on the lips. Like, I could not stop rubbing them together. It's so comfortable and hydrating. The plumping was actually tingle-free for me. It just felt minty, like I rubbed toothpaste on my lips. The plumping effect is subtle, but I still really liked these. I did it. I bought the Jones Road Beauty What the Foundation. This has caused all kinds of controversy and discourse, so I apologize for also putting in my 2 cents. This is what it looks like. It's very oily and thick. It has a scent I actually don't mind. It's like a soft spa-like smell. I applied a pretty small amount for me with my fingers and then went over that with my sponge, and I did not hate how this looked. It's very skin-like. It felt like I wasn't even wearing foundation. I will say it tends to gather in certain areas, so I might have to go in with even less product. My other products layered on top of this fine, but I feel like I like this more as an everyday skin tint rather than a foundation base for my makeup. Like, I would reach for this when I'm running errands on a Sunday morning, but not when I'm going to the club. I've been obsessed with lip oils, so I immediately snatched up this Fenty Beauty Cherry Treat Conditioning and Strengthening Lip Oil. I have to start off by saying this is the most amazing smelling lip product. It smells like cherry candies. We got this giant doe foot applicator I love. I did not want to stop applying this. It felt so nice. This formula makes your lips feel so hydrated and soft and cushiony, if that makes any sense. It's also so glossy. The color is so sheer, it doesn't really look like much on my lips, but I love this and it's definitely going in my bag. I also got the Fenty Beauty Poutsicle Hydrating Lip Stain. This also feels so good on the lips. Every lip stain I've tried has been more drying, not hydrating, so I am really into this formula. It's very pigmented, so I was careful when I was applying to make sure I didn't get the stain anywhere outside of my lips. After leaving it on for a few minutes, I wiped it off with a paper towel, and there was definitely a pretty stain left behind that was 100% transfer proof. I can see myself wearing this a lot this summer. If you can believe it, I have never tried a Haus Labs product before. They recently rebranded and I picked up a couple of products. First up, this Haus Labs High Power Pigment Paint. You can use this anywhere on the face. The pigment in these actually took me by surprise. Like, I was not expecting them to be so full coverage. You need like the tiniest amount of these. It blended out pretty easily on my eyes and it doesn't dry too quickly, so you have some time to work. I am so into these. I also picked up the PhD Hybrid Lip Oil. This applicator is much smaller than the Fenty one, which made me sad, but the actual formula is really smooth and comfortable on the lips. It's more of a thinner formula than other lip oils I've tried, but I really loved how this looked and felt. This also has no scent, which I prefer over a bad scent. These were great products and I need to try more. Uma Beauty just released this Trip and Smooth powder, and what's so cool about it is how the powder dispenses. You twist it and it releases the perfect amount of powder, which I love because my powders get so messy. The powder itself is so finely milled and silky smooth. It applied really nicely and smoothed out my under eyes a bit, so I really liked it. I've been on the hunt for a good talc-free powder, and I think this is it. The only thing I wish they had was a translucent option, but this is so good. I tried 2 products from Makeup Revolution. Let's start with this Blush Bomb Cream Blusher. This straight up looks and feels like a lip gloss. It was very confusing. It's definitely more of an oily blush formula than I'm used to. First application wasn't great. It's pretty sheer, but it does build up. I don't think I like this though. I think it just feels like lip gloss on my cheeks. I also tried the Superfix Misting Spray. I know I just complained about the blush looking like a lip gloss, but I love that this looks like a hairspray. The mist is nice, but I wish it was a continuous mist. I applied this underneath my makeup and then on top when I was finished. That's how I like to use a setting spray. It melted the makeup in nicely, but I typically like a more dewy finish, and this is pretty matte. I wore this makeup for 8 hours and I think I looked okay at the end of the day. I feel like I could still see my blush, which is usually the first thing to disappear. This isn't my favorite setting spray, but I do think it's a good, cheaper option. Pat McGrath released a new shade of her Skin Fetish Highlighter and Balm Duo. This has a balm on one side and this really beautiful highlighter on the other. This shade Extreme Cyber Orchid is so interesting. It shifts from a blue to a lilac and totally disappears at certain angles. This formula is definitely balmy, but not in an oily way. I got so nervous when I first applied it because this was not blending in at all, but it blended in really nicely when I used my fingers. I think for $58, I would rather get a more wearable everyday shade, but this formula is really nice. This is the Maybelline Tattoo Studio Brow Lift Stick, which is supposed to give you a brow lift or brow lamination effect at home. It has a cool little brush on one side and then this colored wax on the other. So you brush your brows up first, apply the wax to fill in, and then use the brush to lift the brow hairs. This is a cool idea, and I did like how it made my brows look, but it did take a bit of work. I think if this brush had firmer bristles, it would be easier to get that brow lift effect. I also just don't think this wax is waxy enough to hold my brows up all day, so this was just okay. I'm a big fan of the Made by Mitchell blushes. I tried a purple blush from them before and I loved it, and they just came out with a lavender shade, so I had to try it. Applying it on top of my makeup was a mistake because it's a pastel. It was basically like I applied a white blush over my bronzer. Plus it actually made my foundation patchy, which is an issue that I've never had with this formula. I think I might have just overblended. Trying it out on bare skin wasn't any better. It just leaves this very gray looking cast. I looked like the corpse bride. I think I'm better off using this as an eyeliner and eyeshadow base. Clinique has finally come out with a lip gloss version of its iconic Black Honey lipstick. This color is definitely identical to the lipstick version, just glossy. Here's what they look like side by side. I liked it a little more once I dabbed some off. This color is just really flattering. I have to say though, this gloss formula is not my favorite. I think they were going for a cushiony feel, but it's just kind of sticky and thick. Looks great, but it doesn't feel so great. e.l.f. released this Halo Glow liquid filter and the world stopped. Could this actually be a dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Filter? Let's see. On this side of my face, I applied Flawless Filter. It's gorgeous, it's glowy, it's perfect. Now on this side, I applied the e.l.f. Halo Glow. Look at them side by side. They are almost identical. I would say that the e.l.f. one has a hint more coverage, but it still gives that same your skin but better effect. And the Charlotte Tilbury one is slightly more glowy, slightly. I say save yourself the extra $30 and get the e.l.f. one. Side note, look at the size of this doe foot. It's huge. You guys know I adore Rare Beauty. I was so excited when they dropped these Kind Words matte lipsticks and lip liners. I had to get the color gifted because Selena said that that was her favorite. The lip liner is super smooth. Even though it's matte, it doesn't drag or pull on the lips. Plus it's a twist up, which I love. The lipstick is so creamy and pigmented. You could probably put this on in one swipe. It's definitely one of the most comfortable matte lipsticks I've ever tried. Scrandy Beauty is a brand I found on TikTok. I kept seeing videos of its spicy sauce lip plumper, and I really wanted to test it out since I haven't had much luck with lip plumpers. I applied it to half my lips so we could see if it actually does anything. So you apply it slightly above your lip line and it starts to feel a little spicy, then it starts to feel tingly and spicy, and then at the 3-minute mark, you also start to feel a warming sensation. I love lip plumpers, so I don't mind the roller coaster this takes you on. It feels kind of good to me. I definitely noticed plumping, especially with my top lip. I really like this lip plumper, and I also like that it's clear, so you can wear it on top of anything. Eco Styler is the brand of gel I use all the time, and I never knew it had this unicorn glitter gel. It's a translucent pink color with blue iridescent sparkles. It's so pretty. Running this through my hair, I feel like you don't really get the glittery effect. It just kind of tinted my hair this bluish color, which is cool, just not what I thought it was gonna look like. I definitely saw the glitter and color better when I applied it to brushed back straight hair. I think this is cute for a little glitter moment every once in a while, and it actually washed out of my hair easily. I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm a nail polish freak, so when I saw Do by Jinsoon going viral, I bought it immediately. This is a milky white polish. It's very sheer and soft. My nails are super stained right now, so I was worried about how it was looking after the first coat. But when I went in with that second coat, it looked really pretty and my nails looked so much better. It was a little streaky in the first coat, but the second went on totally smooth. I do wish though that this had a flat paddle brush instead of this brush just to make it easier to paint. I'm sure you could find a really good drugstore dupe for this polish because it is on the pricey side, but I really like it. This is the new Urban Decay Vice Lip Bond Glossy Liquid Lipstick, so you get the glossiness of a lip gloss and the wear of a liquid lipstick. This is extremely pigmented. I was really impressed by the color, but I feel like it wasn't as shiny as I thought it would be. I let it dry down for 10 minutes and kissed the back of my hand to see if it transferred at all, and it did, but only a little bit, and the lipstick still looked good. It's actually very similar to the Maybelline Vinyl Ink lip color I tried a while ago, so I would probably recommend that one since it's cheaper and performs the same. I am not a pot concealer kind of person, but I was really excited to try out this REM Beauty Sweetener Concealer. I also got the Dream Cloud Blender to test out as well. I scooped some up and just warmed it on the back of my hand, then I used my fingers to apply everywhere I wanted to conceal. The concealer looks thicker than it feels. I was actually surprised at how lightweight it felt when I was blending it out. The coverage with this is amazing. I was so shocked at how much it covered up. You don't need a lot at all. I definitely put too much on, but I really like this. They also included a black and white shade in this concealer, so you can lighten your shade or deepen it, which is cool. I also really like this little sponge, but it's not worth $15. These NYX Ultimate Glow Shots look so pretty that I literally bought 3 of them. They're supposed to be brightening and give a really glowy effect. Although these are gorgeous in the tube, they're just really inconsistent on the eyes. The pigment on some is better than others, but overall I would say the pigment isn't great with these on their own. I had to build them up a lot to get them to look like this. They definitely work better as a topper over other eyeshadows. I'm so torn on these because they look so good, but it takes a lot of work to get them that way. I've been seeing these gorgeous hollow glosses from Queen Cosmetics all over TikTok. Of course, I had to get 3 of them. These glosses are just as beautiful in person. They honestly feel fine on the lips as long as you don't apply too much. I packed on this electric shade and it did feel a little gritty, so I recommend only doing 1 to 2 thin layers to avoid that. But these are so cool. They look good on their own, but even better over lipstick, especially darker colors. This is the new Fenty Beauty Ease Droplet All Over Glow Enhancer. It can be worn on its own to reduce the look of pores or mixed into foundation for some added glow. Using this on its own, I honestly wasn't very impressed. I don't think my pores were necessarily blurred and I felt like my skin didn't look that glowy. It kind of just looked like I applied moisturizer. I think this worked better when mixed into a foundation. I mixed it with my Ease Drop Blurring Skin Tint, which I love, and I noticed it gave my skin a nice little glow. This skin tint is more on the matte side, so I do like that the glow enhancer made it more dewy. However, I don't think it's such a big difference that I can justify buying this product. It kind of just feels like an extra step that doesn't add much. Item Beauty is Addison Rae's beauty brand. People rave about its lip oils, so I figured I'd test it out with a couple of other products too. So this is the Lip Quip Moisturizing Lip Oil. Let me start out by saying it smells amazing, kind of peachy. The color was actually a little more pigmented than I expected for a lip oil, but I thought it was so pretty. The formula is on the thicker side. It feels super nourishing and just makes your lips look so juicy, so I am really into this. This is going in my bag. Next, I tried the Boost Juice Dual-Ended Lash Primer and Colored Mascara, so you can use this as a lash primer or colored mascara. The lilac side is for volume and the blue side is for lengthening. I have to admit, I much preferred the blue side as just a colored mascara. I feel like once I applied regular mascara on top of it, my lashes just kind of lumped together. The lilac side barely showed up on my lashes, but it worked much better as a lash primer. I also tried the Blush and Like Cream Blush. It's supposed to be a cream to powder formula, but it just kind of feels like a powder. I used my sponge to apply it at first, but it just kind of looked a little splotchy. It worked much better with a brush. You can also apply it to the lips, and it was honestly cute. It's buildable, which I like, but I don't feel like this is anything special. ColourPop drops new stuff like every other day, but these graphics ink liners caught my eye. I really like this tip. It's super sharp and flexible. I am horrible at doing any kind of liner situation, so I was really glad that this tip kind of did the work for me. However, the color payoff on these is not great. I found myself layering up the product for full color payoff, and with this formula, the more you layer, the more textured it looks. It sucks because these are colors that I don't really see a lot of in eyeliner, but this formula is just not my favorite. It Cosmetics just dropped another Love is the Foundation brush. I think it drops one of these a year. I have one from a previous year that I really love, but they're actually not the same. This new one is less dense and more flexible than my old one, and I also feel like the bristles on this new one are longer. I used it to apply my foundation, and I was really happy with how fast it blended everything in without looking streaky. It also worked great with my concealer. I didn't lose any coverage with this brush because it didn't absorb the product. I think I actually like this new one better than my old one. I tried a couple of products from JCat Beauty. Let's talk about this blush first. This color is so pretty. It's like an orangey pink with a bunch of gold shimmer in it, so you get this very buildable color with some added glow. I can definitely see this color working for so many different skin tones. The Mood Flick Hollow Sparkle Lip Balm is one of those color-changing lip products. I honestly thought these would be more glittery, but I think it just looked metallic on me. They do actually feel pretty moisturizing on the lips. I was really surprised at how much these stain when I was trying to take it off. My lips were bright pink. I don't know if I'd ever use these again, but they're cute. I haven't reviewed a Too Faced product in forever, but it just released this Born This Way Ethereal Light Smoothing Concealer, and I heard really good things about it. It's supposed to be super hydrating and smoothing. I did not like the applicator on this, not because of the shape, but because it doesn't pick up product that well. This formula is actually really nice. Even after blending it out and setting it with powder, you can still see that luminosity in the concealer. I don't know if it did much smoothing, but I like the coverage it gave me and how easy it was to work with. This is the Dior Rouge Dior Forever Transfer Proof Lipstick. Not a liquid lipstick, a regular lipstick. So you apply this like any other lipstick, wait 3 minutes for the color to set, and you should be left with a long-wearing transfer-proof lip. I think this particular shade was a bit patchy, but I evened it out as much as I could. I could not believe how well this worked. I was expecting a lot of transfer because this is a regular lipstick, but the transfer was pretty minimal. It also didn't feel too drying on the lips. I think this formula is really cool and I want to try out some other shades. I finally got my hands on the Haus Labs Atomic Shake Lip Lacquer. This is another one of those transfer-proof glossy lipsticks. This is definitely like the hot new lip formula, so you shake the product well, then apply it. The pigment in this really shocked me. It was so vibrant, it almost looked neon. This went on so smooth. I didn't need more than one layer for full coverage, and it was so glossy. I had to wait 15 seconds for what they call the shine shield to form, then I kissed the back of my hand to see if I got any transfer, and nothing. I've tried 3 lipsticks with this kind of formula, and so far this is the best one. This is the Model 1's Color Cube in Bonfire Amour. It's a solid gel cream palette. It comes with 9 gel polishes, and you can get them in different color stories and finishes. It also comes with this little brush. I've used a solid gel cream before, but I forgot how thick it actually is, so it did take me some time to apply it in even layers. I did have to do 2 coats for full coverage on some colors. I think a product like this can be super convenient, especially if you do nail art or just don't have the space to keep a bunch of gel polishes around. It doesn't come with a base or top coat, but I still really like this. I tested out a ton of products from Jason Wu Beauty. This is a new brand for me, so let's start with what I didn't like. This Frida Brow was too light for me, which is my fault, but the formula on this is weird. It feels like an oily cream that never dries down, so I doubt it'll keep my brows in place. These Stay in Line lip liners weren't great. They were also too light for me, so I ended up using my own lip liner to deepen it. These are smooth, but a little too creamy. They don't feel like they're gonna last very long on the lips at all. I also didn't like the Woo Prime Eye. The formula is so tacky and thick, it made my eyeshadow look patchy in certain areas. Now onto the stuff I loved. This Flora 4 palette was surprisingly pigmented and easy to blend. I feel like the primer is what got in the way of showing you its full potential, but I still really liked it. This blush trio is so gorgeous and blended out really nicely. I used this Ready to Shimmer cream shadow as a highlighter and it gave me the prettiest golden glow, even though it's not really meant for the face. This jewel stick was incredible. Look how much it brightened up my inner corners. The Honey Fluff lip cream was soft and comfortable on the lips. If you get anything from this brand, get this Extra Pout Lip Plumper. Oh my god, even if you don't care about the lip plumping aspect, this is one of the best lip gloss formulas I have ever tried. It's so cushiony and shiny and amazing, and everyone should get it. The Makeup Forever The Professional Mascara is definitely a mascara. It's nothing amazing. It has one side for lifting and the other side for volumizing. I didn't get much of a lift, but I did get a nice amount of volume. I just think there are better mascaras out there for way less money. I am a huge fan of About Face. I love so many of its products, so when these Cheek Freak blush bombs dropped, I snatched up 3 different colors. I'm just gonna say it, I am so in love with these. I was nervous at first because it's described as a blush balm, which to me sounded like it would break up my foundation, but these blended in so beautifully. It never moved the product underneath, even if my skin was already powdered. And the pigment on these is unreal. You can build them up however much you want. I think these can work for so many different skin tones. They are so good. I made the horrible mistake of purchasing the Winky Lux Saucy Gloss 4-piece combo lip gloss set. This was made in collaboration with Applebee's, and the glosses are inspired by its wing sauces. You guys, I thought everyone was exaggerating when they said the smell was making them gag, but no. These smell god-awful, and it sucks so bad because the color story is so pretty. And I could see this concept working had they just not added the sauce scents. Or even if they did something like lemon pepper smells like lemon, buffalo is just a spicy lip plumper. But no, they went in this direction, we all bought it and talked about it, which is probably what they wanted. So I hope you're happy, Winky Lux. You ruined 4 beautiful glosses. I tried out a new foundation from Chanel. I actually wouldn't call this a foundation. It's more like a super hydrating light tint. It's very similar to that rose ink tinted serum I tried a while ago. So it has these pigment beads that burst and spread as you apply it. This literally feels like nothing on the skin. There is little coverage, but it evens everything out nicely and it feels hydrating. I don't think this has a strong staying power, but it's still a pretty tint for when you don't want to do too much. Chanel also has a blush in this formula, so I tested that out too. I actually blended it out on the back of my hand before applying and tapped it on with a sponge. It took a minute to build up the color, but I think it's supposed to look very natural. It also didn't break up the product underneath. I'm surprised by how much I liked these. They don't do too much, but it's enough to make a difference. This is the Maybelline Shadow Blocks eyeshadow palette. It's a tiny stack of eyeshadows, very similar to the Kaja Bento Trios. The packaging is pretty cheap. One of my shadows fell out, but it's okay. I applied these without any primer just to see how they perform on their own. They're actually pretty pigmented shadows. I didn't have any trouble blending them, and the shimmer shade was pretty, but overall, I think these are just okay. I like the idea of a palette like this more than the execution. Everyone has been loving these NYX Jumbo Lash Lashes, so I had to try them even though I am terrible with false lashes. I thought the Style Ego Flare would look nice on my eye shape, and I was right. These lashes made me feel like a whole new person. Like, these are Disney princess eyes. They were pretty easy to apply and the band was really comfortable. I think these have totally convinced me to wear lashes more often. This is the Urban Decay 24/7 Moondust Shadow in Space Cowboy. This is basically a glitter shadow. This shade in particular has been going viral. It is super intense and reflective, but you can definitely diffuse it to be more subtle. This formula is really smooth and easy to work with however you want to use it, so I really loved this. I did get some glitter fallout, so I'd recommend using a primer or leaving some powder under the eyes while you're applying. If you want something more eye-catching and elevated than a shimmer shadow, this is perfect. M Cosmetics re-released its Color Drop Serum Blush with a new and improved formula and packaging. The old packaging was notoriously difficult to use. It had this dropper thing that just would not dispense properly. This new dropper is so much better. You do have to build this blush up, but it gives you a really pretty dewy flush of color. I honestly can't see a difference between the old formula and the new one. This new one is just easier to use. I'm not super into this kind of blush formula. I prefer the brand's powder or cream blush over this, but it's pretty and it didn't break up my foundation. I've been dying to test out the new House Labs foundation. I've heard nothing but amazing things, and I was not disappointed. I went in with my foundation brush first, and this just totally blends into the skin seamlessly. The coverage is on the lighter side, so I added a little more, and I am really impressed by how weightless it is. It has skincare ingredients in it, and it actually feels like skincare. It feels like you have absolutely nothing on your face. All of my other products blended on top of this beautifully, so this foundation is a 10 out of 10 for me. I also got the Bio Blurring Loose Setting Powder, and I love this too. It definitely does blur the skin and sets your makeup without making it look dry or cakey. It's so soft and finely milled, and it's also talc-free, which is great. I tried a couple lip products from Fenty Beauty, the Gloss Bomb Heat Universal Lip Luminizer and Plumper in Hot Chocolate Heat, and the Gloss Bomb Ice Cooling Lip Luminizer in Cold Hearted. Let's talk about this new Gloss Bomb Ice first. It looks like a pale blue color, but it goes on totally clear. It has a really nice minty scent. You get that cooling effect instantly, and I like it. It also feels great on the lips like the other Fenty glosses, just super hydrating and shiny. The Gloss Bomb Heat is not a new formula, but people have been loving the Hot Chocolate Heat shade. It's like a brown with a hint of rosiness to it. Because it's on the more sheer side, this color looks incredible on so many different skin tones, and it actually does plump the lips really nicely. It's not an uncomfortable plumping effect at all. A few of you asked if I could review Mooncap polishes, so I have a few to talk about. This first one is called Illusionist, and it's a magnetic multi-chrome. I feel like Mooncap always has these really interesting colors like this that I don't see very often. The magnetic effect on this one is so cool, I couldn't stop staring at my nails. This next shade is called Cyclone, and it's a blue jelly flaky polish. The way these iridescent flakes look in this jelly really give you this ocean vibe, so I loved this one too. The last polish I tried was Emo for Life, which is just a plain black creme polish. I honestly feel like this one impressed me the most because it was literally pitch black in one coat. The pigment on it is incredible and the formula is so smooth. The prices do vary depending on the formula, but overall the quality of the polish is really good. And I also love the brush and handle on these bottles. They make it super easy to paint my nails. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Take It All Off. It's a bi-phase makeup remover, and I had to Google what that meant because I had no idea. It basically means you get an oil and water in one, and you have to shake the product to combine it. It specifically says this is for eyes, lashes, and lips. You have to shake it, apply it to a cotton pad, and soak the area for a few seconds for an easy removal. This honestly worked really well, and I tried it on waterproof mascara, which always takes me forever to remove. I also have very sensitive eyes, and this didn't irritate them at all. I liked this, but I think it's a little too pricey for a makeup remover you're only supposed to use on your eyes and lips. Sae just dropped these lip blurs. They're matte lipsticks that you can build up to be super full coverage or dab on for a soft blurred lip. I used the shade Modern first and just dabbed it on with my finger. It gave this really pretty soft wash of color. This other one in the shade Classic really shocked me because it's so smooth and pigmented. I was laughing because I definitely went too far over my lip line, but we move. I would recommend a lip liner with these because the formula isn't as matte as you'd expect and it does move around a little. Overall, I think these are nice and feel good on the lips. This is the Kimchi Chic Beauty Pearl Gone Wild Pressed Shimmer Highlighter. This highlighter is so stunning in the pan. It's like this iridescent pearl color that shifts to blue. There's a lot of glitter in this, which can look chunky or make your skin look textured, but this actually went on beautifully. The glow it gives is unreal, and that blue sparkle adds a little something special. It's not going to be for everyone, especially if you hate glitter, but this formula is so pretty and I really want more colors. Patrick Ta released these major skin creme foundation and finishing powder duos. I love the packaging on this, especially this little flap to protect the foundation from the powder. I went in with my foundation brush first and wow, this is full coverage and a little goes a long way. I did my entire face with just one dip into the pan. I went over that with a sponge to pick up excess product. I wouldn't say the finish is super skin-like. It definitely looks and feels like you're wearing foundation, but for something this full coverage, it doesn't look cakey to me. It's also a more dewy finish, which I think helps. These are the Uma Beauty Black Magic Hypnotic Impact High Shine Lipsticks. I am so into shiny lipstick formulas these days. Formula aside though, these lipsticks are gorgeous. The embossing, the glitter, I could not stop staring at them. They look just as beautiful on the lips. This formula is literally a lip gloss in lipstick form, so you get the shine and you get that moisturizing feeling. The glitter is an overspray, so they don't look glittery on the lips, but I love these. This is the Merit Bronze Bomb, and it's supposedly the easiest bronzer ever. It's definitely the easiest bronzer I think I've ever used. It takes little to no effort to blend this out, and it didn't break up the product I already had on. I was worried the shade I got was too light, but I think it actually turned out okay. It is buildable, I just wish the color wasn't so sheer. Other than that, I like this. I'm seeing transfer-proof bullet lipsticks pop up a lot more lately. This one is the NARS Power Matte Lipstick. It has a really amazing color payoff. This can definitely be a one-swipe lipstick. The texture is so unique. The best way I can describe it is that it kind of feels like the NARS soft matte packaging on its products, but on your lips. It's this soft, powdery, comfortable kind of matte that felt really nice on the lips, and it is transfer-proof, so I highly recommend this. This is the REM Beauty Space Shape Brow Gel. What really drew me into this product was the applicator. I've never seen one like this before with a little doe foot on one side and a comb on the other. It was really easy to use and I like how it distributed the product. The actual brow gel is nice. It did what it had to do and it didn't leave my brows feeling crunchy. As much as I like the applicator though, I don't feel like the formula is anything special. KVD has reformulated its iconic liquid lipstick, so I picked up a few shades to try. Just like everybody else, I was very big into the shade Lolita back in the day, so I had to get Queen of Poisons, which is its new name. I'm gonna be honest, I can't really tell much of a difference between this formula and the old one. I think it maybe feels a little more lightweight, but it still feels like I'm wearing a slightly drying liquid lipstick. I do really like the colors I got, but this bright orange was pretty patchy. I actually remember having the same problem with the brighter colors in the old formula too, so that's not great. I also don't like this new packaging. The wand is so weirdly long. I don't know if you can tell, but it was kind of hard to control when I was applying. I have been dying to try these Versed Mood Lighting Luminizing Glow Drops for a while. People say that this is another flawless filter dupe. It does give a really beautiful glow to the skin, but there's not really any coverage to it, so I wouldn't call this a dupe exactly. It's like Flawless Filter's more natural little sister. It has a lot of great skincare ingredients that made my skin feel really nice and hydrated. I actually preferred the drops under my foundation rather than on their own, but I like these a lot. This is a Face Sprinkles mini palette from designer Dust Co. They have a lot of different ones to choose from, and you can even make a custom palette with any of their glitters. I was trying to show all of the colors, but I couldn't lift it all the way because one of the glitters was completely liquefied. Something weird happened to it on its way to me, but the rest of the glitters were totally fine. The glitter has a vegan gel base that dries down. You can apply it on the face, hair, or body. I was having fun just putting it everywhere. I loved all the colors and it was really easy to apply. I'm not really into glitters, but I think these worked great, and this is one of the more affordable glitter gel palettes I've seen. This is the Summer Fridays Sheer Skin Tint. It's supposed to be lightweight, hydrating, and very natural on the skin. I definitely think it is all of those things. The coverage is obviously sheer, but I was able to build it up no problem. It evened out my skin nicely, and it actually does feel weightless. This would be a great everyday skin tint for me. I think for what it is and how little product you get, $42 is way too much, but if you're looking for a high-end skin tint, this one is really nice. I had been getting ads for this Flower Nose Strawberry Rococo collection for weeks, and they definitely worked on me because I bought 3 products. First up, I tried the embossed blush. The detail in the embossing is so cool, I didn't even want to use it. They do say that this is meant to be a buildable blush, but I think the color payoff is a little too light. It took me forever to get the color payoff I wanted, but it did look pretty in the end. Onto the eyeshadow palette. The matte formula was soft and blendable, but next time I would go in with a primer first because it was slightly patchy in some areas. The glitter shade was incredible. It was definitely the best shade in the entire palette, but it did give me some fallout. Lastly, I tried the Cloud Lip Cream. This is one of those moussey lip formulas that has a velvety finish. This felt really nice and comfortable on the lips, and I like the blurred effect it gives, but I kind of wish it was the same red as the packaging. This is the Cali Ray So Blown Clean Primer. It's one of those dimethicone blurring primers that makes your skin look matte. I actually like how it made my skin look without any foundation. It feels nice and velvety, and I definitely saw some blurring. When I applied my foundation, I realized I applied too much of the primer, so my skin actually looked kind of textured and the product pilled up a bit. So the next time I tried it, I went in with less and focused on my oily areas, and I still wasn't loving how my foundation looked over this. I just see way more texture with this primer than my normal primer. I'll show them side by side so maybe you can kind of see what I mean. I don't think that this is for me. Milani released this Conceal and Perfect line with liquid under eye brighteners, contours, and highlighters. These kind of feel like a drugstore version of the Charlotte Tilbury wands. First, I tried the brightener under my concealer. I didn't notice much brightening at first, but then I applied it with my fingertips and got some better coverage. Next, I tried the liquid contour. This color does lean a little bit red, which I don't love, but it blended out really beautifully and added a nice warmth to my face. I applied the highlighter next, and I loved this. Again, it blends out really nicely, and it doesn't add any texture to my skin. It just gave a really pretty glow. Even though I don't see myself using the brightener, I am a fan of these, and I hope they expand the shade range. These are the Kaleidos Epiphany Glow Melt-On Eyeliners. They're all multi-chrome, so they have these really cool color shifts. Melt-On was the perfect description for these because they really do glide on so easily. I've never had such a smooth eyeliner application because they always skip or they're too dry. These are so easy to apply. I thought that the tip would be too blunt to create a wing, but I was actually able to do it without any issue. These are really beautiful and I highly recommend them. I hope they expand the line to include more everyday matte shades. This is the Got To Be Glued for brows and edges. For a long time, people have been using Got To Be hair gel as brow gel, so they came out with this product that's actually meant for brows. I actually like how this made my brows look. It gives kind of a laminated brow effect, nice and feathery, but the gel itself left a weird residue behind and it took forever to dry down. Once it did dry, the brows pretty much stayed in place, but I've definitely tried better brow gels. This is one of the strangest new products I've seen in a long time. This is a Hip Dot Icon Baked Eye Pigment Shadow. I got the Share Bear one. These are essentially 3D figures made of baked eyeshadow. They kind of feel like makeup Funko Pops, like more something you collect rather than use. But I used it. The formula was actually pretty dry. It took me a while to pick up any product on my brush. I definitely got a better application and color payoff with my finger, but still the formula was dry and I was tugging at my eyelid, which I did not like. This feels way more like a novelty than an actual eyeshadow. Fenty released this double cheeked up freestyle cream blush duo, so you have this baby pink color called Malibu's and this deeper medium pink called Peony Droppa. I've heard that the Fenty cream blush formula doesn't have the best color payoff, but these were actually pigmented. The problems for me started with application. I used a dense brush to apply first and it did lift my foundation, so I tried my sponge and I think I made it worse. My face was not powdered, by the way. On the other side, I just used my fingers and that also lifted my foundation, but way less. I do really like these shades, so I can see myself using this on bare skin, but I am not a fan of this formula on top of foundation. I finally got my hands on this Fourth Ray Beauty Honey Pot Lip Care Kit. It keeps selling out and now I know why. This kit comes with a honey lip scrub and a lip mask. This packaging is literally so cute. Look at this tiny honey dipper. The scrub is like a regular sugar scrub. It made my lips feel really soft, but I wish it was a little more coarse so I don't have to keep dipping in for more. This lip mask felt incredible. It's thick and smooth and really hydrating, and it tastes sweet, which I liked. This is the Tom Ford Soleil Neige Lip Blush Lip Balm. It's this transparent balm with a bunch of platinum flecks in it. It's actually one of those color changing products, so once you apply it, it turns into this deep pink shade. Lip blush is a really good way to describe it because it makes your lips look so rosy. The actual balm formula is really nice and hydrating, but no one on planet Earth needs a $58 lip balm. This is cute though. Holo Taco polishes have been super popular since they were released, but I've actually never tried them. I picked up a few different formulas to test out. I really did not like the skinny brushes these came with, but they actually sell wide brush replacements, so I just swapped them all out. This cream shade I tried first was so full coverage and applied really smoothly. The color was just so rich. I got this iridescent flaky topper and I was surprised at how much I liked it. I don't really do toppers, but this one looks so shifty and cool on the nails. I obviously had to test out some holographic polishes. Both of these also applied really well and had amazing color payoff. I had to turn my flashlight on so you could really see the holo. I applied the super glossy top coat on all of these formulas and I really loved it. I like it when my top coat has an almost plumping effect where it makes regular polish kind of look like gel, and this did that while making the manicure super shiny. Overall, I'm really happy with all the shades I got and I can't wait to try more. This is the Milani Days of Disco Shimmer Spray. It's supposed to be a holographic glitter setting spray, but I was seeing absolutely no glitter when I sprayed some on my hand. And I shook this really well, like for a full minute. I sprayed it all over my face and it did make my skin look extremely dewy, but I still wasn't really seeing the glitter effect. I could only see if I was looking really closely. The glitter effect is definitely not as noticeable as I thought it was gonna be, and the actual setting spray formula just made me look oily. This month I tested out a lot of products from Simi Hayes Beauty. This is a new brand for me, so let's start with the stuff I liked. The Solar Tint Blush Duo comes with a cheek pigment and a cheek gloss. These both went on really easily and the pigment is so good. Surprisingly, I loved the cheek gloss more even though it's not super practical for all day wear. I didn't love the color of this Velvet Blur Matte Lip Balm on my skin tone, but the formula itself was so good. It has the comfort of a lip balm, but the pigment and blurring effect of a matte lipstick. It's creamy and super comfortable. I thought the Lunar Lip Gel and the Super Slick Mini Lip Balm were just okay. The lip gel was pretty, but the formula was nothing special. It's just a thin lip gloss. The mini lip balm was pretty moisturizing and the tint is cute, but it's so little product for what you pay. Again, nothing special. Now for the products I just didn't like. I wanted to love the Sun Flush All Over Face Tint, but it just ended up being really patchy and broke up my foundation. And I tried this a few different ways to see if I was just applying it wrong, but it still messed up my foundation underneath. The Easy Lash Clean Lift Mascara just didn't do much for my lashes. I didn't get much lift, I got little to no volume, and my lashes weren't lengthened very much. Overall, I love the packaging of this brand, and it does have some standout products, but I think it's all very overpriced for how the actual formulas perform. Everyone has been raving about the Summer Fridays Lip Butter Balms. This set with the minis is limited edition, but they sell all of these shades in full size. I ended up really enjoying these. The formula is on the thicker side, but not sticky. They feel really moisturizing, and I like how they give an almost lip gloss effect. I loved all of the tinted balms, but I think Poppy was my favorite. They all give a pretty subtle wash of color, and they have this nice vanilla scent that's not overpowering. I'm obsessed with these. This is the Danessa Myricks Beauty Lightwork 4 Transcendence palette. I'm not gonna lie, I was very intimidated by this palette at first. It has 4 different formulas: Velvet Chromes, which are color shifting powders, Pressed Chrome Flakes, which are flaky toppers, Glass Metallics, which are super reflective powders, and Aqua Chromes, which are water activated duochrome pigments. So there is a lot going on. I started applying over a light wash of black eyeshadow base to make the colors pop more, but I don't even think I needed to do that because these powders are so pigmented. I was determined to use all of the different formulas, so I added one of the metallics in the inner corners and put the chrome flakes in the center. The flakes were the only formula that was a little difficult to work with, only because they're kind of hard to pick up and apply, but I think they added a really cool texture and color shift to the eye look. I used an aqua chrome for some eyeliner, and it's so reflective and sparkly, and it dried down quickly. This palette is extremely pricey, and I did get some slight fallout, but the quality is definitely there, and I think it's so much more versatile than it seems. The shades in here are so transformative and really inspire you to play with your makeup, plus it can also be used on the face. These are the L'Oreal Color Riche Intense Volume Matte Lipsticks. I thought these were going to be similar to the NARS Power Matte Lipstick I tried a while ago, but the formula is different. The color payoff on these is so good, and they apply really smoothly. This is one of the most comfortable matte formulas I've ever tried, especially from the drugstore. What makes this lipstick different from the NARS one is that it's unfortunately not transfer proof. To be fair, it claims to be smudge proof, so it's not the same thing. Regardless, I think these lipsticks are comfortable on the lips and the colors are so rich, so I really like them. Apparently, Gwen Stefani has her own beauty brand called Give, and this is the first product from it that I've ever tried. This is the Double Dippin' 2-in-1 Lip Color Remover and Hydrating Lip Mask. I wanted to test it out with my NARS Power Matte lipstick since it's one of my hardest to remove lipsticks. The formula of this lip mask feels like a makeup removing cleansing balm. If you've never tried one, they feel really oily. Because of that, it actually broke the lipstick down really well. It made it super easy to remove. However, as a regular lip mask, it just feels way too oily and thin to be comfortable. This just feels like one of those products that they market as multi-use to make it sound more innovative. Lights Lacquer just released its winter collection called Cocktail Hour. I do own a lot of their polishes, so this isn't a new brand for me, but I definitely think this is my favorite color story they've ever done. The polishes have those wide, flat brushes I love for applying. It just makes it so much easier and faster. I tried the cream shades Old Money and Audrey first, and both were full coverage in 2 coats, and the application was really smooth. Then I tried the jelly shade called Lady in Red. Because this is a jelly, it's way more sheer than a cream, so I ended up doing 2 thicker coats for full color payoff. The color is slightly lighter on my nails than in the bottle, but still pretty and so shiny. Next, I tried To the Nines, which is a metallic polish. I really loved this color, but this formula is probably the least forgiving when it comes to streaks and bubbles. My 2 absolute favorite shades from the collection are Whiskey Neat and Diamonds Are Forever. Whiskey Neat is also a metallic formula, but it's more of a duochrome, and Diamonds Are Forever is like a milky taupe with a bunch of super fine glitter in it. I don't think these colors separately are anything new, but I love how they all work together in this collection, and the formulas are all so good. We have yet another color changing product to review. This is the Kylie Cosmetics Transformative Liquid Lip Tint that was a part of her collab with the Wizard of Oz. It goes from emerald green to pink. The smell is interesting. It kind of smells like an appley shampoo. The formula is pretty thin. I do like this giant doe foot applicator. The color is actually a little more unique than other color changing lip products I've tried. The pink was a bit deeper and I think more flattering on my skin tone. I would wear this again because the stain it leaves behind is pretty, but I do wish the formula was thicker. These are the Fleeky Friday Cosmetics Crystal Crease Eyeliners. These are handmade, reusable crystal eyeliners that you apply with lash glue. It was a little hard for me to get them in a comfortable spot because I have hooded lids. You can cut these to fit your eye shape better, so I'm gonna do that next time, but I think these are so fun. They look like you just did so much work applying each individual rhinestone. Cert Colors is one of my favorite nail polish brands, and they just dropped their holiday collection. I love that they have a spin on the classic red and green, this mix of pearly shades, and then this more unique duochrome. Sachet reminds me of red bows and Christmas ornaments. To me, it leans more pink than red, but it's still beautiful. Verdigris Jelly is a jelly polish. It is more sheer because it's a jelly, so I did 3 layers and it looked so shiny. My favorite shade in the collection is definitely Tahitian Pearl, which is this dark duochrome that shifts from pink to green, and it has this holographic glitter in it. I did 3 coats for this one too because it showed the color shift better, and I think it made the glitter pop more. This is a really unique color and I can see myself wearing it a lot. The last 3 shades are all a pearlescent sheer white with different colored shimmers. Serenity has a green shimmer, Soleil has a pinky red shimmer, and Siren has a purple shimmer. These are all really pretty, but you definitely don't need all of them because they're so similar. This entire collection applied really smoothly, and even though some shades had to be layered up, I was happy with how they all turned out. This is the Half Magic Magic Flick Liquid Eyeliner. It has this really interesting tip that's paddle shaped, so you can draw fine lines with the edge and then fill in with the wide side. I suck at eyeliner, but this shape actually really helped me draw the wing easily. I will say that I think the actual eyeliner formula is not the best. The black isn't super pigmented like I would prefer, but I really liked this tip shape. This is the KVD Dazzle Longwear Eyeshadow Stick. It's supposed to be a one and done type product, so you don't need primer, you just swipe it on and blend. I was really surprised at how soft this formula is. It's actually a little too soft, like you have to be gentle with it, but it really does glide on easily. This is packed with glitter and shimmer, and it just looks so pretty on the eyes. It's like a way to do glitter without any of the mess. I'm a fan. I tried a couple products from the K-beauty brand Romand. This glitter palette has been raved about, so I was really excited to play with it. The shades are meant to be on the softer, more translucent side, so you can layer them over eyeshadow. I just applied some of my blush on the eyes and then applied a few of the shades on top. There are shimmer formulas, fine glitters, and more chunky glitters. Overall, I would say the formulas are on the dry side, but they were actually pretty easy to work with. I had no problem swiping or patting them on, and I had little to no glitter fallout. I also tried the Glasting Water Tint. The color and gloss are separate layers, so you get that long-lasting tint with a glossy finish. These feel so hydrating and comfortable on the lips. They're really lightweight, and they definitely do leave a stain. Look at my hand after I wipe those swatches off. I've never tried a product from Jane Iredale before, but this one intrigued me. This is the Hydro Pure Tinted Serum. It's a serum with a bunch of pigment beads inside that are meant to give you light coverage. You're supposed to mix this with your fingers first to break up the beads, then apply with your fingers. I really don't like finger applications for foundations, but it really was the best way to apply this product. It did not look right when I tried it with a brush and my sponge. The coverage is definitely light. I feel like it looked like I had no makeup on at all. I was hoping it would feel moisturizing, but it felt like nothing on my skin. All my other makeup went on top of this just fine, and I really liked how my skin was looking. It's so expensive, but I think this is great for people who want a very natural looking skin tint. Charlotte Tilbury released these hypnotizing Pop Shots single shadows. The packaging on this is so cute. This is meant to be a super glittery, pigmented, multi-dimensional shadow. This was really easy to apply. I just swiped it on with my finger and blended out the edges. I did get a tiny bit of fallout, but I was able to just brush it away. I really love the sparkly, shifty effect you get with this formula. You can definitely get a similar effect with one of those ColourPop Super Shock shadows, but this formula is really beautiful on the eyes. Rare Beauty just released a powder version of its super popular highlighters. I've been seeing some conflicting statements about whether this product looks glittery. There is definitely some super fine glitter in this formula, but I don't think it looks glittery on the skin. The glow is obviously there and it's so pretty. It's almost wet looking. I actually thought it emphasized my texture a bit when I first tried it. When I tried it the second time, I just went in with a little less product and it looked better. I don't think this is as natural looking as the liquid version, but it's still a really nice highlighter. I tried a couple new Fenty products this month, the Plush Put-In Intensive Recovery Lip Mask and the Glossy Posse Volume 5.0. Let's talk about the lip mask first. The packaging is really cool. You twist it and the product dispenses from the top so you don't have to dip into it. The formula is very thick, which I personally love. It just feels so moisturizing and plush on the lips. It also gave this really nice shine I wasn't expecting. I did wear this lip mask for a couple nights to see if it helped with my dryness, and I saw the difference. My lips were so much more soft and hydrated, so I am definitely going to keep using this. Now onto the Glossy Posse Volume 5.0. Fenty Beauty does these gloss sets for the holiday season every year, usually with a limited edition shade inside. This set contains a Gloss Bomb Cream in Cupcakin', a Gloss Bomb Heat in Fenty Glow Heat, and a regular Gloss Bomb in Fuchsia Flex. Cupcakin' is a really pigmented gloss, and Fenty Glow Heat gives you that kind of spicy, tingly lip plumping. Fuchsia Flex is the specific shade that's been going viral. It's Fenty's regular gloss formula in this really beautiful deep pink that has a ton of glitter in it. All of these formulas feel so good on the lips. Fenty does not miss with its gloss formula. People have been raving about the Kosas Revealer Concealer forever, so I finally got it. It's supposed to be medium coverage and super creamy. This concealer was easy to work with and blended out so quickly and easily. The coverage looked a bit lighter than medium to me, but it covered enough. I would go in with a little more next time, but I loved how this looked. I also got the Cloud Set Setting Powder, which people also really love. I used my puff to apply this and it smoothed everything out almost instantly. I was so impressed by this powder, and I usually hate pressed powders. I never use them, let alone to set my concealer, but this looked so nice. I used it on the rest of my face too, and it just gave this really soft, blurred look. It mattified, but not too much. I loved these two products, especially together. This is the Hourglass Cosmetics Phantom Volumizing Glossy Balm. It's supposed to be a lip balm, lip plumper, and a lip gloss all in one product. These applied nicely, but because this formula is so fragile, it's easy to apply too much. I had to smooth the product out with my finger a couple times, but other than that, I loved these. They have this really nice cooling effect. They do feel like a super moisturizing lip balm, and they have this high shine finish like a gloss. It didn't do much for me in terms of plumping, so I think if that's the main thing you want from a lip product, don't get this one. I did a little haul at e.l.f. and I got some new products and some products I've been wanting to try. First up is this e.l.f. Luminous Putty Bronzer. This goes from a putty formula to a powder. Up close, you can see a lot of shimmer in this, but it doesn't look that way on the skin. This is one of the most blendable bronzers I've ever tried. Like, it takes no time at all to blend this out, and it brings a really natural warmth to the skin. This was so good. Next, I tried the Halo Glow Powder Puff, which is always out of stock. People love this. I thought it wasn't gonna be any different to my normal powder puffs, but it is. It's much thicker and softer than these cheap ones I buy. It does pick up a lot of product, but I just evened it out on the back of my hand. This did such a nice job of applying my powder. Next, I tried the Lash and Roll Mascara, which kind of reminds me of the Benefit Roller Lash. I usually hate silicone brush mascaras, but I actually like how this one applied the product. It felt like it got every single lash. My lashes are so straight, but this gave them a nice curl. I wish it thickened my lashes more, but for $6, this is a really good drugstore mascara. The last product I tested was the Glossy Lip Stain. I can't believe I've never tried these before. This formula is so interesting. It feels like water on the lips, like hydrating but also weightless. These are a bit patchy. There were some areas where it looked like the product wasn't sticking. After letting the product sit for a few minutes, I removed it and it definitely did leave a stain behind, but the stain also looked patchy. I do like how this formula feels on the lips, but it doesn't apply evenly. For the most part though, this was a pretty good haul.